order. This is a duly advertised meeting of the Joliet Zoning Board of Appeals. In our capacity, we hear petitions for relief from the strict provisions of our city ordinance. In matters of this type, the decision of the board is final in respect that it does not go to the mayor or the city council for any further action. If you disagree with our decision, you have recourse in the court of record. We also hear petitions for variations of land use. In matters of this type, we are acting as an advisory committee to the mayor and city council, making a recommendation either for or against it. The final decision on land use is made by the mayor and the city council. Secretary, please call the roll.
Ms. Darley?
Here.
Mr. Ferguson? Mr. Graham?
Here.
Ms. Nevadas?
Here.
Ms. Powers? Here. Mr. Riggs?
Here.
Mr. Hennessy?
Here. Any request to digress from the agenda?
No, Mr. Chairman, we have 3 cases under the new business, and we'll stick to the agenda as printed. In addition, we have old business, and we have 2 cases under consideration there. And if you'd like, I'll start with the first case.
Okay, is Mr. Leach here? Okay, let's hear petition 2014-01.
Mr. Chairman, in this case, we've got the applicant is Greg Leach. He's the owner of the property. The address is 7107 Carbuck Court. The request is a variation of the required rear yard setback from the required 25-foot down to 17-foot to allow the construction of a 14 by 14 rear addition. The applicant recently constructed the 14 by 14 rear addition on the north wall of the single-family residence under construction. The purpose of the additional room is to provide living area for the homebuyer's elderly parents. Under site information, the site is an irregularly shaped lot with outside dimensions of 161 by 104. The lot is located in the Cumberland South 40 Unit 2, which was annexed to Joliet in 2002 and platted in 2004. Cumberland South 40 is generally located on the far west side of Joliet on the east side of County Line Road, south of Theodore Street. The site plan and floor plan of the 2-story frame residence is attached to this petition. It was filed on December the 13th. Surrounding land use and zoning, the land use to the north is single-family residential. There's also some unincorporated Will County to the south, east, and west. It's zoned R1B single-family. Applicable regulations, we're dealing with 47-16, which is the schedule of yard and lot requirements. Comments from other departments. The Community Design Review Board discussed the request at its monthly meeting held on January the 2nd. There are no comments from any other city departments. Discussion. The proposed 14 by 14 foot rear addition is generally conformed to the current style of the petitioner's residence. The addition will have a rear yard setback of 17 foot from the north property line. The room addition is planned to accommodate the needs of the home buyer's aging parents. Should the Zoning Board of Appeals wish to approve the variation, staff recommends the following, and that be that the property not be declared a public nuisance and that they get their building permits within 180 days, and that concludes the staff report.
Thank you. Petitioner present. Want to speak? Come to the lectern, please. Do you swear the evidence you're about to present is the truth?
Yes, I do.
May I have your name and address?
My name is Gregory Leach. My address is 1319 Bassett Court.
Any comments you'd like to make, sir?
None. If you see fit to grant my petition, I have no comments.
Was this addition started without a permit, or is this just part of the original plans?
Staff, anybody know? Was this an add-on, Greg, after?
No, this was begun before permits were issued, yes.
Okay.
And Mr. Chairman, if I remember discussing this with Kendall Jackson, there was a problem where the house sat on the lot. I think was only in violation at one specific corner because of the pie-shaped nature of the lot. And so we debated on whether we should even send them for this variation. But we figured it was in the best interest because we had adjoining neighbors to give them the opportunity to come and make public comments should they have any problem with it. I don't know if anybody's here for this case, but
We'll find out.
Yep.
Thank you. Any other comments, sir?
No, none.
Any questions or comments from the board?
Yeah, Mr. Leach, as far as utilities in the room, will there be a kitchenette or anything like that?
Yes. What would be typically the family room of the house was going to be turned into a bedroom to accommodate the parents who could not go up the stairs. And the sunroom was added to accommodate for that lost living space. So,
Yeah, I think
Anyone else? Is there anybody in the audience wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Is there anyone opposed? The chair closes the petition and asks the board for discussion and a vote.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the petition. Call the roll.
Mr. Graham?
Aye.
Ms. Nevadas?
Aye.
Ms. Powers?
Aye.
Mr. Riggs?
Aye.
Ms. Darling?
Aye.
Mr. Hennessy?
Aye. Thank you, sir.
thank you for your time.
Okay, Eduardo Gutierrez, present. Let's hear petition 2014-02.
In this case, the applicant is Eduardo Gutierrez. The owner of the property is Efrain Gutierrez. The location is 1203 Cora Street. The request is a variation of the side yard setback from 3 foot down to 5 inches, and a variation of the maximum lot coverage from 30 to 34% to allow the construction of two 10-foot by 20-foot carports on the north and south sides of the existing detached two-car garage. The applicant recently constructed several carports at the rear of his property, adjoining his detached two-car garage at 1203 Cora. Staff notified the property owner that a variation is required to allow the continuation of the carports. In May of 2000, the Joliet City Council approved a variation of use to allow continuation of an existing two-unit in the existence at the site since early 1960s. A list of the conditions included the ordinance is attached. The purpose of the carports is to provide additional protection from inclement weather for vehicles. Site information, the lot is 40 foot by 132. It's located in an established near northwest side neighborhood. The property is improved with a 1.5-story, 1,260 square foot frame residence built in 1900. A frame two-car garage was built around 2005. Access to the garage and the carports is via the existing alley located at the rear of the house. The petition was filed on December the 12th. Surrounding land use and zoning to the north, south, east, and west is all single-family zoned R2. Applicable regulations, 47-16, the schedule of yard and lot requirements, and then also 47-17.5 as it pertains to garages. Comments from other city departments. The CDRB reviewed this on January the 2nd. There are no comments that came. Discussion, the proposed 10-foot by 20-foot carports will generally conform to the current style of the petitioner's garage and residence. The carports will have a rear yard setback of 10 foot and will be located 5 inches from the north and south property lines. The area under the carports and at the rear of the garage is paved. Should the board wish to approve the variation use, staff recommends the following: that it not be declared a public nuisance and that they obtain their certificate of occupancy no later than 180 days. And that concludes this staff report.
Thank you. Want to come forward, sir? Do you swear the evidence you're about to present is the truth?
I do.
Could I have your name and address?
Eduardo Gutierrez, 1203 Cora Street.
Any comments you'd like to make, sir?
No.
Okay, any comments from the board?
I have a question. Are there gutters on the carports that,
Yeah, it's in one. I actually have extra pictures if you want to look at them.
Yeah, we've called them up on the screen right now.
Okay.
okay. But there are gutters because this frame that's up there right now,
One, it's missing the gutter. I have the gutter in there, the one that was in the actual garage. So the one I put it up, and the other one I didn't because of the weather. But then I'm putting it on.
okay.
If I-
My concern is there's a lot of runoff there that would go right onto the foundation of the neighboring garage. And so that is, the picture that's up, that is the gutter that is not up yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other comments?
What do you use the inside of the garage itself for?
For the car, for 2 cars too, but I need additional parking there. It's the house being a 2-unit house.
That it? Anyone else in the audience wishing to speak in favor? Is there anyone opposed? Close the petition and ask the board for discussion and a vote. Motion would be in order.
I'll make a motion that approval be subject to installation of gutters.
Within how many days?
How long would it take you, weather permitting, to get the gutters up?
Day or two, it's just one gutter that needs to be put up right now, so, and I have it sitting there.
Okay, I would say within 30 days.
Thank you. Is there a
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the petition subject to the conditions as stated. Call the roll.
Ms. Nevadas.
Aye.
Ms. Powers.
Aye.
Mr. Riggs.
Aye.
Ms. Darley.
Aye.
Mr. Graham.
Aye.
Mr. Hennessy.
Aye, thank you.
Thank you.
Just for the
James
record,
Hernandez.
yeah, Mr. Chairman, just for the record, that one, I forgot to do it on the first one, but the first one was approved, and that one was approved as well. They're variances, so they strictly stay with this board. They do not go on to the mayor and the city council. The next one, though, however, is a special use permit that will go to the mayor and the city council for final approval.
Thank you.
And in this case, 2014-03, the applicant is James Hernandez. The owner of the property is Lance Surgis. The location is 225 Maple Street. The request is a special use permit to allow the auto salvage and related sales of new and used auto parts in an I-1 light industrial zoning district. Under purpose, the applicant is requesting the approval of the special use permit to allow the operation of an auto salvage and wholesale sales of new and used auto parts in an existing warehouse structure located at 225 Maple. Under site-specific information, the property is located at the southwest corner of Benton and Maple. The site is zoned I-1 light industrial. The petitioner proposes to operate his business in a vacant portion of the warehouse located on the south side of the structure. There have been no previous cases. This one was filed on December 13th. Surrounding land use and zoning, the site is joined by 1- and 2-family residential land uses zoned R2 single family and R3 1- and 2-family to the north. Industrial use zoned I-1 to the southwest, and then zoned I-2 general industrial to the east. Applicable regulations are 47-14.2A, Section F, special uses in all industrial districts. Comments of other city departments. It was reviewed by CDRB on January the 2nd, and the minutes are attached. And then we move to the discussion portion. The applicant is requesting a special use permit to allow an auto salvage operation in a portion of the main floor of the large industrial warehouse. The warehouse is a 30,000-plus square foot, 3-story brick industrial building built in 1927. The business will operate in a 44-foot by 49-foot addition located on the south side of the warehouse, and I think there's a site plan attached. The business will obtain wrecked or damaged vehicles which will be delivered to the site where the requested parts will be extracted from the vehicle. Wholesale customers will be able to buy new or used parts at this business location. The applicant has agreed that the salvage activities will take place on a small scale within the structure, with 2 vehicles being processed at any given time. The leased space is serviced by a single garage door. A small front reception area and work area are located on the main floor. An employee bathroom and an office area are located in a loft above the leased space. An outdoor parking area for approximately 10 cars will be designated at the rear of the building. The normal turnover for salvage vehicles is 1 week. Delivery of all vehicles is via regular-sized pickup truck or by tow truck. Adequate off-street parking for 4 cars is located at the site. Parts sold from vehicles will fill customer requests and will be certified by Certified Auto Parts Association. Should the board choose to approve the special use permit, staff is recommending the following. Number 1, that adequate off-street customer parking for 4 cars remain to serve the subject site. Number 2, that all vehicle salvage operations be conducted within the existing warehouse. Number 3, that the 2156 square foot space utilized for the salvage business shall not be expanded in the future. Number 4, that vehicles parked outside the waiting area shall be parked on a paved surface, and that the site plan for the parking area be provided within 60 days of the ordinance approval. Number 5, that the implementation of the required paving shall be within 180 days of ordinance approval. Number 6, the visual screening slats be added to the chain link fence around the outside waiting area within 180 days of ordinance approval. Number 7, that the auto repair, oil change, muffler replacement, related repair shall not be conducted as part of the approval. Number 8, that if it's declared a public nuisance, it's subject to a possible revocation. And then lastly, the 180-day clause that we do for all of them. And that concludes the staff report.
Thank you. Mr. Hernandez? You swear the evidence you're about to present is the truth, sir?
Yes.
May I have your name and address?
James Hernandez, on my home address,
Yes, sir.
1125 Wabash Avenue.
Thank you. Any comments you'd like to make, sir?
Just that I've got a lot of experience in this type of business.
Where have you operated before? How much experience do you
I've
have?
worked at TNS Auto Salvage, at Speedway, and I-55 in Shanahan. Got like over 20 years experience,
20 years, okay.
and I'm just trying to create a new style, all indoors, parts off, tested good, ready to go, so,
So what, you decided to go in business for yourself
yes, sir.
instead of hitting the time clock? Okay. How many cars could be stored? I noticed we've got, you could have outside storage under paved. How many cars are allowed back there? Is there a limit?
Well, let me go back through the staff report.
Is it
I don't
10
see it
cars?
here.
Is that?
Yes.
No, it's 10
I've
total, but
requested for at least 10 cars at a time.
That's the maximum you can have. Is that within our restrictions?
yeah. Yeah, we've mentioned that the outdoor parking area for approximately 10 cars will be designated at the rear of the building, but then we're talking about only having 4 cars for customers, and I guess the question that I would ask is that 14 total, or is that 4 for customers and 6 for cars waiting to be taken apart?
I believe the 4 is for up front for customers.
Okay.
But in the back area, nobody's allowed back there, just,
And that's 10 that will be for the salvage operation?
yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
What is the square footage out and back? You know?
I don't know, it's pretty big. It's a real big lot in the back.
Yeah, I don't know the dimensions, Lance, I don't know if you know, them. We've got them,
The whole property encompasses 2.4 acres.
okay.
Okay. Anyone on the board have any comments or questions?
I have a few questions. What is the current use of this building?
Well, it was vacant industrial. I think Mr. Surgis is the owner. He's here. He could answer any questions, but he's running his woodworking shop in the building now, as best as we know. Lance, you want to come up and get sworn in, and then you can answer questions about other things that may be going on in the building?
Do you swear the evidence you're about to present is the truth, sir?
Yes.
Name and address?
Lance Surgis, 1420 Plainfield Road, Joliet.
Thank you. Go ahead.
So the current use of the building, you just have woodworking in there?
Woodworking and Joliet Equipment, who's the previous owner of the building, they still use portion of it as warehouse,
Okay,
as they have for the last 50 years.
okay. So this section that he would be taking, is it vacant?
It is vacant, yes.
Okay. Then the pictures that we have in our packet and have been shown on the screen, what are they pictures of?
It is of his space, actually. We read the zoning, and it said I-1 was approved for that and didn't realize he needed a special use permit for it.
Okay, so these are of your setup, correct? Okay. So this is how the business would be. All right. I do have a couple questions on your business. Where do the cars generally come from, and who are your major customers?
The cars we get off of like Craigslist, or somebody will call in, they want to get rid of their cars. And my business is done through computers. It's connected through all the junkyards and eBay listings. And the cars, when I'm done with them, they go to a junkyard where they get
Okay,
final
yes,
processing done.
very convenient location there. And you would sell the auto parts then to
To other yards,
other
salvage
yards?
yards,
Okay.
or mechanic shops.
Could individuals come in there and buy anything?
No.
No,
No public.
no public.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Do you pay cash for the items that you're at? When people bring in a car, do you pay cash for it?
The cars, some are cash, some are check. I try to pay more checks for them.
So you do pay cash for some of the vehicles that come in? So that when you pay cash for it, there's no record that that actually is the person that owned the car, that he owned something on the title?
I get the title and I mark on my folder what I paid for each car, so I can keep track of what I'm making and what I'm.
And is the building fireproof? Does it have a sprinkler system and so forth in your section?
There's a sprinkler system in there. I don't know if it's operating or not, but it's all concrete, brick walls and concrete ceiling.
So you don't have a sprinkler system in yours?
I don't know if it's
No,
operating.
it's non-operational.
Okay.
But we don't use no torches or nothing like that in there.
In the past, I actually owned a semi-truck and auto repair business where we did a lot of the vehicles and took parts off of them to repair them. And 90% of them, you had to use a torch to loosen even some of the bolts up on it. How are you gonna do this without using a torch at times?
We use air tools, and for the exhaust, we use a Sawzall. Anything that's stuck under too tight is probably not gonna be no good, so we leave it on the vehicle when it goes to the scrapyard. Once it gets to the scrapyard, they want the parts. They're outdoors, they got torches, they can do what they want, but we don't do it there.
And you only do that when you have an order for a part on some of it too, right?
No, when I get the cars, I'll bring them in, check everything that's good, take it off, put it on the shelf, and get rid of the car.
But you only have so much space there.
Right, so that's why I asked for the 10 spots outside. If I got cars outside, I won't buy no more cars.
So then these cars might sit for a while until somebody needs a part off of it.
No, that's what I'm saying. I up to 10 cars, and I'll process them as I can, and then I could get more cars. No, I won't let them sit out there for more than a week or two at the most. The
So
more
that's-
damage it is, the quicker I'll bring it in to get it out of the way.
So your turnaround time is like, from the time you get a car till the time you get the
It's
pieces
within-
out of there is what, how long does it take you to?
From 2 days to a week to get a car, from the day I get it to when it comes in and gets processed and out of there.
And how many employees do you have?
I had 3, I laid everybody off because they told me I wasn't able to operate right now.
Oh, I see, okay. So you-
I have 3 employees, my son and myself, so that's 5 altogether.
So you would be cutting these cars up that's not in your name also? If you're gonna wait, because sometimes it takes a month to get a title for a vehicle. That's the difference of a salvage yard getting vehicles, because they wait that month before they strip a vehicle. You're talking about picking 10 cars up, stripping them, and then not even having them in your name yet, because the title won't be in your name. Just because you have a title doesn't mean it's yours until it's in your name. It's going to take 30 days before that title can be in your name.
Stuff that I don't really know about.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, I
that's
get the
where the
title.
problem is here, is we want to make sure that the vehicle you're taking is going to be in your name like any other salvage yard before they strip it.
What do other salvage yards do?
They
In
come
your same
they
business?
Strip them, crush them, and sell them.
In your past experience, if every place you've worked, has it been the same process?
I've never seen them wait for a title to come back under their name. I mean,
But-
when I've worked there, cars come in, we strip them, they crush them, and they go.
But they get a salvage title on it before they get it, so that they could just
Yeah,
take.
they use manifests. When they crush the cars, they'll send a manifest, and I guess when the title comes in, then they ship them off to.
So they do have a salvage title and all for it. Before they strip, before they get rid of it, they have to have a salvage title.
No, they give them a manifest, and then when they get the salvage title, then they'll send them the.
But they have all the paperwork before they can actually, that's the reason why they're salvage yards, is so that they can hold it, that amount of vehicles, until they get the proper paperwork.
Yeah, I mean, I could do the same, but I understand what you're saying, but they don't hold on to the cars that long. They'll come in, they could get crushed the same day, and they, their vehicles go to a big processing, scrap metal.
That's what we want to make sure, that they goes through that processing. That's the problem that we're running into right now is,
Mine goes to the junkyard, and then the junkyard takes care of all that, and,
but you've already gotten parts off of it before it goes to the junkyard.
well, yeah, I mean, I could fix that.
We want to make sure the titles are in your name, and it takes a month before you get the title in your name. That's the difference between, otherwise, we could let anybody do it in a two-car garage, just strip vehicles.
Right.
They don't allow two-car garages to strip vehicles, or auto body shops and everyone else would, but they don't allow them to keep them for a month before they get the title to strip them.
That's what I'm saying, I mean, all my years of experience, we've never waited for a title to strip the car.
Again, that's a difference between a junkyard and someone doing it in a garage.
You're licensed, aren't you, by the state, or?
Well, that's what,
to run a job.
That's kind of the whole purpose of being here.
Right.
Is what, and then it was, he has to get a state license. Well, the state license is dependent upon this whole
Then it'll
process
be
here.
issued, and then you have to obey the rules and regulations of that in the way you operate. Is that correct?
yes, yes, sir.
So that you will follow all the procedures necessary, or else your permit will be revoked.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
I have a question regarding your statement. So the oversight of that is on the state?
Yeah.
We would have no, the city would
Yes.
have no oversight of that?
No.
Okay.
No, and I imagine that if there were some impropriety that was noted by the state, and it was an ongoing thing, that then we would be within our rights to declare it a public nuisance and withdraw the,
Right.
revoke this petition. So that is a safeguard that we do hold in abeyance.
Does anybody know how the state does regulate that? Do they visit? Do they come out and
That I don't know.
observe?
The state, they send out the Secretary of State, police officers or whatever, humane. They come out and check your paperwork. They check-
On a regular basis, do they do that, or yearly?
A few times a year, they'll come
Few
out.
times a year?
Make sure you're not having stolen parts there or stuff that you're not supposed to have around.
And that's been your experience at the place that you worked at in Shanahan? That's how they,
Yes. Yeah. They're always coming, they're always sending somebody to make sure that everything's being done the right way.
Anyone else?
And what about all the oils and antifreezes and so forth that's in vehicles that are,
They're contained in drums, 55-gallon drums, and then a recycling.
All regulated.
do we have a picture of that on our pictures?
Jimmy Dryman?
Everything's drained and stored in 55-gallon drums, and then a truck will come in.
Where is this storage at?
It's up by the garage door. There's
Well, we did see a picture of the garage door, there's no drums.
Just to the left of that picture.
To the left of that picture. That way, when they back in, they'll be able to connect to it and pump everything out of there.
What would your hours of operation be?
8 to 5:30.
And after
Monday through
5:30,
Friday.
you would not be receiving any other vehicles or
No, we don't do nothing after.
nothing? Okay.
is that 5 days a week, or?
Saturday, 8 to 2:30.
Anyone else?
I guess the other thing that probably needs to be pointed out too is directly to the east of us, they do the same thing. Berlinski's does that out of that building. They ship parts out of there all the time. So it's kind of a similar thing in the neighborhood there.
And he got to be mayor, so
Lance is,
And they have a
they have a
scrapyard
future
there
in
also.
politics.
Right. And from what I understand, they've been grandfathered in for the parts part of it.
They have a scrapyard there, that's the problem that we're running into now, is he has only a 2-car garage. And we don't want to see this show up all over Joliet, 2-car garages stripping their own
Well,
vehicles.
the
And he
difference between a
started this
two-car garage
before
and this
he
is where
even got
I-1 zoning.
permits.
That's going to be my argument on this, is we're I-1 zoned here. We're not in a residential neighborhood doing this out of a garage. There's plenty of space here,
Industrial zoning.
saying, very similar zoning to what they're doing across the street.
and Lance, if I could interrupt, the building that Berlinski does that, is that the old Sears Roebuck?
Correct.
It's kind of
I've
red.
been out there with my truck and I see them loading parts onto
Okay.
semis who are hauling, parts probably going to somewhere that refurbishes cores or whatever. I see them loading it all the time. And I've asked the question, do they have a special use permit for parts? And all I hear is, oh, they're grandfathered in. And it's not clear, is that because they're a scrapyard, or is it just okay for them to sell parts? Nobody wants to give me a direct answer on
Yeah,
that when
and
we're going through all of this right here.
And without doing a search to see when we adopted the part of the zoning ordinance that requires the special uses, my guess would be that Berlinski's been doing it for so long that they were probably grandfathered in. Because I do know that Sears Roebuck, that was their appliance depot, they've been out of there for
25 years or whatever
25
it
years.
is, yeah.
And I think Berlinski's owned it for a long time, so, and I can tell you that without knowing the exact date and when we required special uses, I bet they predated that date.
Okay, well, that's, I kind of asked the question, nobody wanted to.
Well, I don't think anybody's been around here long enough to realize that.
Maybe Eddie has.
Yeah, Ed, you have.
I can tell you what, well, you got Berlinski, who was mayor, and then right across the street, you had the Keck building, and he was also.
That is the building. This is the Keck building. This is the Keck building right here that
So
we're
that-
talking about.
and they
So it's not somebody's two-car garage. It's actually about a 75,000 square foot, three-story
Yeah, I know the
building,
area well.
not a two-car garage, we're going to do this at night or whatever and tow a couple cars in with a rope type of thing. This is an I-1 zoning, where it's not visibly observed by, housing on three sides.
Yeah, my dad sent a lot of cars over to Blinsky that I wrecked in my wanton youth. Okay, anyone else have any comments on the board? Anyone in the audience wishing to speak in favor? Come forward. This is in favor now.
Yes, in favor with...
You swear the evidence you're about to present is the truth, sir?
Yes.
May I have your name and address?
Aquilas, 201 Edward Street, Joliet. For the record, in favor with comments. Appear to be some ambiguity as far as the regulation versus state or city. We're just not clear. And so with that, Mr. Chairman and members of the Zoning Board of Appeals and Planning Department Head, Mr. Haller, I speak on behalf of a dozen neighborhood organizations who represent the residents of District 4 and 5. And I stand today with St. Pat's and Kappa, which are two constituent neighborhood organizations. We're concerned with the petition 2014-03 may set a dangerous precedent that could allow chop shop operations that take stolen cars and disassemble them overnight, making parts available for sale and making evidence of an auto theft disappear. I do not mean to impugn the motives of today's petitioner and have no evidence or suspicion that he intends to do anything illegal. I am, however, worried about that this petition, if approved without controls and oversight in place, similar businesses with less honest intentions could operate under similar such petitions, or a successor owner of this business could turn it into a chop shop. I like the idea of using salvageable parts of junk cars rather than melting them down when they still could be used. So rather than simply opposing this petition, and because the business will be very similar to that of a salvage yard, I urge the city and the ZBA to add some controls and oversight to this business as it imposes on salvage yards like Berlinski and others. Thank you for hearing our concerns and suggestions.
Thank you. You realize, of course, that this board cannot make opinions based on things before the fact, on what might happen or could happen. We can only base it on the reality of what we know today. We have clauses built in here under the conditions that should it become a public nuisance or cause problems, his variation can be revoked at any time if something is found wrong with the operation. Thank you. Ma'am, did you wish to speak?
Carol Ann.
You swear the evidence you're about to present is the truth.
Yes.
Your name and address.
Carol Ann Heineman, 711 Morgan Street, Joliet. I realize what you just said. I do have a few comments. Good afternoon. My name is Carol Ann Heineman. I'm here to speak on behalf of St. Pat's and Kappa. There are several people that cannot be here today due to the prior commitments, and many have to work. Both organizations are in full agreement with what Mr. Willis had to say. But I would like to add, and I understand that as a board, you cannot impose regulations, but we are looking for some kind of a licensing or reporting process so that there are not cars brought in and taken apart and distributed under illegal actions. Possibly the police, and a reporting process to the police to determine whether vehicles are reported stolen or a waiting period. Also to follow EPA regulations and procedures. The main point is to make it clear to business proprietors and to their customers that this type of business be regulated to prevent the potential trafficking in stolen vehicles or parts. And the city is diligent in its efforts in preventing crimes from being profitable. Thank you.
Once again, it is not the job of this board to prosecute or to persecute. If you want that to be done, you'd have to address the city council to pass an ordinance of regulations. I don't know if we have one or not.
We have discussed it with them. Yesterday, we began the discussion.
And do we have someone here from the police department or the fire department?
Well, Dave Mackley's here from building inspection, so he does for fire department
Do you have any
review.
comments on this issue at all?
Dave, come on up to the microphone so we
I
can
mean,
get you on tape.
What I'm trying to say is we can't specifically pick out this one operation without addressing every operation in the city that is of the same type. And that would require an ordinance of some kind, which this board doesn't have the power to supervise or to do. Go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, the thing, I can kind of give you some background on how this all took place is my division received a complaint that this gentleman was operating an auto salvage business without a license. And so I sent one of my inspectors down there to find out exactly what was going on, and he questioned him, made him aware of the special use permit requirement, and that's kind of what brought about all of this proceedings today. As far as licensing, the little bit that I do know about it is that he is going to need to be licensed under the state of Illinois to recycle automobiles. As of right now, he does not have that particular license. But it kind of goes hand in hand with the fact that he needs a location for the state to review to see if that licensing, if that facility is even going to be considered to be licensed. So, at this point, you know, he obviously made a mistake in the beginning that he was operating a business without having a current state license. He has no city license for secondhand goods. I'm assuming that, I've never spoke to the gentleman, so I'm assuming that this is because of the fact that he wasn't aware of those licenses, which is certainly questionable in itself. After being engaged in that business, it's a pretty well-known fact what the requirements are to engage in the auto salvage business. That being said, the building department has done no inspections there because we didn't know at the time if this is even going to be a permitted use. So I can't even tell you for sure. One of the things that alarms me is to find out that I have a 3-story building, is 75,000 square foot, that has no fire suppression system active in it. So that's a matter that we're going to have to look into. The other is that we have done no inspections of this business whatsoever, so I don't know if he has the proper floor drains, if they're connected to a grease and oil separator. For sure, the fire suppression system and any separation from existing businesses that may be in that building are going to have to be considered. So the building department as a whole doesn't really have any problems with this use. It's just we haven't gotten into the building to look at it and see if it's appropriate for that particular structure.
All right, thank you.
And Dave, if I could, it would be your understanding that for him to continue an operation, he would need to get a state license and then also a city license as well?
Yes, and that's what triggers the inspection with me.
Subject to inspection also.
And then building
Right.
inspection would be called in for their regular inspection in advance of those issuances of those
Okay,
permits.
so what, his business would be discontinued until that time?
Yes.
Yes.
How long do you expect that process to take?
I have the state license.
You have the state license?
No, I have it filled out.
Well, let me cut it short. You're going to need the state license, the city license permits, and building inspection to satisfy all the requirements of the city. At that time, if you pass all those things, then it would be operational.
Okay. Yeah, I have the
But
paperwork
you'd have to
filled out.
stop the business temporarily until all that is done.
Okay.
You understand that?
The few cars that I have sitting out there, are they going to be okay till this process is done, or?
Technically, you couldn't be doing any work.
Well, he's not doing work, but what I'm hearing is that all of this equipment and all of these auto parts that you see predated when we shut him down. So he's got cars sitting in the back lot and auto parts sitting in there. He's not disassembling any cars currently at this time.
Okay.
And that he will not do that until he gets authorized by the state and the city to
And
do
you're
so.
keeping on top of this, right?
Yeah, Dave will be the point person in
Okay,
charge.
so would a motion be in order then to approve subject to the conditions as stated, or what?
Yes.
Okay, anyone else wish to speak in opposition? Chair thereby closes the petition to the floor and asks the board for discussion and a vote.
Motion is denied because I can't see giving zoning to someone that the building may not even qualify for it. I think that the inspection should be done prior to us giving a zoning to a building that's not even been inspected.
It's subject to
there's
the
a-
inspection, though, Jim.
Yeah, I know that could be done that way, but he could have still had it inspected. So I think before the city should give him a zoning to approve it, the city should inspect it to make sure it can even be approved before we even give him a zoning.
That was one of the conditions we just stated, that it has to be done before that. We just said it has to be inspected, it has to have the city permit and the state permit.
And my motion is to approve it only if it can follow through with all the safety inspections
You've made your
of
motion. You've
Joliet.
made your motion. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion. We're going to approve this.
Before,
Contingent. I'd like to make a contingent, give the guy a year to get all these affairs in order, because he can't go anywhere until we give him permission.
Correct.
And he seems to know his business. I'm going to hope he could get it back going again. And it seems like one of the best uses for this building to me. So we'll give, is a year enough that you think to get all this straightened out and see where we're at after that?
Do you go along with that addition to your motion?
well, I don't think that we can go along with a year for him to be in there because we're not doing just the one, we're not doing the whole building. We're only doing one section of the building.
Well, then we'll have
One
to,
two-car section.
if you want to wait for your motion,
I'll make that.
I'll call for a second on Mr. Riggs's motion as it stands. Does anyone want to second that motion? I ask again, and the third time. Motion has failed. Anyone else have an alternative motion?
I'll reiterate my motion. I'll move for approval to give him a year to get this business started and legal and authorized the way it should be. And I'm willing to give him a chance.
Subject to the three conditions.
Subject to the conditions? Yes.
Is there a second to that motion?
I second.
We have a motion, a second, to approve the petition subject to the conditions as stated. Call the roll.
Ms. Powers?
Aye.
Mr. Riggs?
No.
Ms. Darley?
Aye.
Mr. Graham?
Aye.
Ms. Nevadas?
Aye.
Mr. Hennessy?
Aye, I think that the petition as stated will accommodate everybody, and it comes up to the city requirements. I vote aye.
And Mr. Chairman, just so everyone's clear, this is the special use permit, so it will go to the mayor and city council.
With a recommendation.
With your recommendation, with those conditions.
All right, thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, where are we here? 07. Petition 2011-07, Timothy McGinnis. Mr. McGinnis present.
I don't know that we
This is a petition
did.
to repeal a special use permit.
let me
Mr.
see.
Secretary, do you have any comments?
I don't, I'm trying to catch up. I don't know that I have that in my staff report.
2011-07, a repeal. Repeal a special use permit to allow a U-Haul truck and trailer rental business.
Are we skipping that one? Or were we out of order? Okay.
Yeah, I think we're out of order.
All right, I guess the staff report doesn't follow the printed agenda, but what we've got,
Gee, that's the first mistake you guys have made in 36 years.
it just collated funny.
I hope this isn't a trend.
No trend. All right, we've got 2011-07, which is a repeal. The applicant is the city of Joliet. The owner is Timothy McGinnis. 605 East Cass Street is the location, and the request is to repeal the special use to allow the U-Haul truck and trailer rental business in the existing B3 structure. That is a general business zoning. The petitioner presented a draft site plan showing an expanded U-Haul site at the December meeting of the board. The board agreed to table the repeal of the special use permit until January of 2014 meeting to allow time for the petitioner to refine the new site plan and work on plans for the site expansion. Meanwhile, the site continues to operate in non-compliance with the required conditions for approval for the U-Haul truck and trailer rental business. A meeting held July the 18th, 2013, the board agreed to table indefinitely an administrative request to revoke the special use permit. The recommendation to revoke the special use was based on the petitioner's noncompliance with the required conditions. Further, at their meeting held on May 9th, 2013, the Housing Court declared 605 East Cass Street as a public nuisance. According to the hearing, the required privacy fence at the property was never installed, and the storage of trucks and trailers at the property exceeds the number of vehicles that were allowed by the special use. The property owner was notified of the hearing to repeal the special use on December the 2nd of 2013. The owner of the property obtained a special use permit to allow the U-Haul truck and trailer as in the existing structure, and that was done in 2011. The entire list of conditions included that adequate off-street parking for 6 cars remained for the site, that any required minor truck servicing repair be conducted within the garage. Number 3, that the truck rental service be limited to 2 trucks and 2 trailers to be leased at the site at any time. Number 4, that 3 of the 4 allowable vehicles for lease must be stored indoors. Number 5, that the rear-facing garage door be installed within 6 months. Ordinance of the approval. Number 6, that the general auto repair, oil change, muffler replacement, related repairs shall not be conducted as part of the approval. Number 7, that within 6 months of the ordinance, the 5 to 6 foot high wood shadow box style fence be installed. And then number 8 was the public nuisance requirement, and then number 9 was the 180-day requirement. And I don't know if there's anybody here on this case.
Anybody here on this petition?
Barb, what are we doing here? Where's the petitioner?
He's represented by Richard Kavanaugh, and I did not hear that they were confused.
Okay.
Well, in view of that, a motion to repeal would be in order.
I'll move to repeal.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to repeal. Call the roll.
Ms. Powers?
Aye.
Mr. Riggs?
Aye.
Ms. Darley?
Aye.
Mr. Graham?
Aye.
Ms. Nevadas?
Aye.
Mr. Hennessy?
Aye, and once again, here's an example of what we were just talking about, that if you don't meet the conditions that are established by the staff and approved by the board, that these can be repealed or revoked at any time, so. Okay, last thing on the agenda, Thomas Pina.
All right, in this
come forward?
case, we've got 2012-59. Thomas Pina is the applicant, the owner of the property, 652 Collins Street. The request is to remove a condition of approval of the variation of allowable signage to permit the addition of an 8-foot by 10-foot LED electronic message center to replace the existing pole sign at Gonzalez Supermarket. New information, the petitioner had a scheduled conflict at the December 2013 meeting of the board and requested that the matter be tabled until this meeting. The petitioner requests that the board remove a condition of approval of the petition. The request was filed in November of 2013. Under background, at the December 2012 meeting, the board approved a variation of the allowable signage to permit the addition of an 8-foot by 10-foot LED electronic message center to replace the existing pole sign at Gonzalez Supermarket located at 652 Collins. The petition was approved subject to the following conditions. And number 1 was that the existing message center located on the south wall of the grocery store shall be removed immediately following the installation of the freestanding sign and shall not be reestablished for the duration of that freestanding LED sign exists at the site. Number 2 was that the base of the freestanding sign shall be faced with brick and shall include a planter. And number 3, that the message center shall not include flashing or moving messages. Following the board approval of the new message center sign on Collins Street in December 2012, the petitioner did not comply with condition number 1 that required the removal of the message center on the south side of the wall of the grocery store. The sign was covered for a portion of the time since the petition approval, but the sign has remained operational. Additional signage on the south wall of the grocery store includes grocery store name in large internally channel letters. And that concludes the staff report.
Originally, the staff wanted that removed, and why did we change our minds?
I guess what we didn't really, I think what's going on here now is, and I don't see the new sign, is it in the picture?
Yeah, it's right there.
Okay, there's the new sign. I think what happened was change of heart on their part. I don't know that they ever agreed to remove the one wall sign. That was a staff
Was that
requirement.
voluntary, or was it a requirement
Well,
by the city?
I think we thought it was voluntary, but I think they've since come to decide that having that sign
Oh, no,
remain.
my question, I guess, is the city had no objection to it in the first place, right?
Well, we gave them the permission to put it there, but I think in the interest of avoiding sign clutter, our preference really would have been, we're giving you the new, bigger sign that is bi-directional. The other sign only faces to the south, and so I think our desire, the staff's desire, was to have that removed, so you didn't have too much signage.
And now we don't have any problem.
Well, no, I think I don't know what we don't necessarily have an opinion one way or the other. I think that was a condition we put in. The gentleman here, I believe, wants to keep that sign.
Oh, that's, yeah, I understand that
Yeah,
part.
so it's up, I think it would be up to this board to see whether or not, we
Well,
thought.
staff has no objection. Does anyone in the audience here on this petition? Does the board have any comments?
Well, I have a question. I thought that it was, the request to remove the sign was on the other wall. Because there's 4 signs on that building right now. The pole sign, the message center, the channel letters, and then there's another sign. If you go back to the picture before that, there's another sign on the building, the very first one that they put on that building before.
The original.
The very original sign is still up there. It used to have lights going around it.
Okay, and I don't think we have a problem with that. I think what our concern was is we didn't want to have too much moving, changeable message boards.
Right.
So that's, I think, the staff's desire back a year or so ago was to, if we grant you the new one, you take the old one down. And I
Right.
think
Well, wasn't there a limit of how much signage per area?
per
of the building?
front, yes, there is.
And this has 4 signs on it.
And that, Barb, I don't know, is this your case?
Yes, the issue of moving message boards, it was too many.
So it really, as far as staff is concerned, we worry about 2 things. Establish a precedent for other people to come and say, look what you did here, you let them have it. And then secondly, we don't know, we don't live in that area, we don't, aren't affected by it at all. So sometimes we do a public hearing to hear what the neighbors have to say. If we had a comment from somebody who said, that sign's shining right in my window all morning, noon, and night, I don't want, we could go in that direction. If nobody's here, that may be approval that the neighbors aren't bothered by it, and that's kind of why we're deferring to you folks to see,
Okay. If there's no comments from anybody on the board, motion would be in order to approve the removal of a condition of petitions stated in petition 2012-59 would be in order of removing the condition of approval, so.
I'm going to move to deny that.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to deny. Call the roll.
Ms. Darley?
No.
Mr. Graham?
Aye.
Ms. Nevadis?
Aye.
Ms. Powers?
Aye.
Mr. Riggs?
Aye.
Mr. Hennessy?
Aye.
So just for clarification, we've got 5 votes that the majority says you have to remove the sign. Oh. We never swore him in.
If he's
We never
willing
heard
to
his
speak.
testimony.
Okay. You want to give your testimony now?
Alex Garcia.
I thought the thing was going to fit.
Okay.
Our first rodeo.
This is America, after all. Go ahead.
Okay, Alex Garcia, 330 Herkimer, Joliet, Illinois.
My apologies.
The reason for this new installation of the LED sign, we probably did the first one, and the reason was for the first one, because you're coming northbound on Collins, you can see it. And the reason for the second one is that you have the view coming southbound on Collins. That one only gets one view, and the other one would get the other view coming south on Collins Street. That the way the building is, you only see one side of it, not as far as being a
Go back.
double-sided sign.
Barb, go back a slide. Go one more back. I think this is the slide that we're talking about.
Yeah.
I think his point is you can't see the new sign
Exactly.
from this location. So the one sign that exists on the wall is sort of playing out towards the northbound drivers, And the one that we can't see now because the stoplight's in the way is
the building.
playing for the southbound drivers.
Exactly. That was the whole issue of having this one, so I mean, obviously, it's like everything, where you have a double-sided sign, you get it south and north, wherever it's positioned. So that was the reason for this new one, to get it when you're coming southbound on Collins Street.
Okay, so with this new information and the gentleman's gag being removed, the board would allow the members to reconsider the previous motion if they wish to. Is there anyone who wishes to reconsider then the motion, then it still stands as denied? Sorry.
If I can make a comment, I went and looked at the building this morning, and I drove north on Collins Street, and to me, this is excessive. If you really want to know my personal opinion, what I'm thinking.
Well, the vote's been taken, and
If you want to know why, that's the reason why.
And if we were to remove some signage, would that
Well,
one
the
still,
LED sign's got to go now, that's what the decision is.
one or another?
The
Or,
north side of the building, that was the one that was agreed on in your petition.
No, the south one.
so the one that's on the pole would have to come down?
in the
or-
original petition.
No, the
No,
pole
no,
you
the
get
one
to
on the
keep,
wall.
the one that's shown in green up there now on the
Yeah, yeah.
image is the one that would have to come down.
That's the one.
Well, that,
Feliz Navidad on it.
yeah, that one's the one that gets the best view, so me personally, from that one to the pole, I would rather take the pole down one, because that one's the one that gets the best view out of all of them,
Well, this is what we voted on today, so.
You can always come in with another petition to do something,
Revised
but
petition, but
it stands.
I
You got a
guess the-
beautiful store, I love the store.
Mhm.
It's a nice building.
Yeah, no, I understand, and that's the whole reason with these
Yeah.
LED signs, as far as, promoting, the specials and the way economies, everybody, is trying to save money. So having these things is, sale as for fruit, produce, a lot of Thanksgiving sales and stuff like that.
Mr. Chairman, point of order is, I'll talk to legal counsel about this, but I imagine we could repeal if that was the desire of the business, to remove the pole sign variation that we gave them and let them keep the one that they got, and we do that as a simple repeal that,
Yeah, I'm open to any suggestions at all. I actually thought this was going to pass, so once you
'cause-
guys decided it was no
but
problem.
procedurally, I think that's what we would need, staff would need to do, is come back with a repeal of the original. Maybe we
Well,
give,
work something out with the town.
yeah, we'll give them a time frame on when we would do all of this, and then we would go from there.
Okay.
So I would then talk to the owner and, basically let them know what's going to happen and what would be, because to me personally, his strong point of view and the supermarket is, if you don't advertise as far as like every other supermarket does, I mean,
Well, work it out with the staff, okay?
okay.
Thank you.
Very good.
Motion would be in order to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
So moved.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Meeting stands adjourned.
Thank you, one and all.